Ride Hardy. Thank you for watching the Gimme A Hull Yeah Wrestling Podcast.
Hello and a very warm welcome to the Gimme A Hull Yeah Wrestling Podcast. I'm Anne and today I'm joined by James from YouTube channel VikingSizeGamer. How are you, man?
Yeah, I am good, fella. How are you?
Getting there. Been a long night. It's been a long weekend. There's a lot of wrestling on and things are starting to get back to normal in the UK, which is awesome. We're going to have a chat today, starting off with finding out a little bit more about James's history with wrestling and then the development of his channel. And of course, we'll be talking about the thing that hit the world, which brought the world to its knees. Of course, I'm talking about the 2K20 release.
Yep. Unbelievable. Shocking. Sent shockwaves through the world. Undoubtedly the reason we're in the situation we are.
Probably, I believe it probably is. So if you enjoyed the video, it'd be awesome if you could leave a like. It lets more people see the video. And also go check out James's channel if you haven't, VikingSizeGamer. It's in the link in the description below. A really great channel which has video game content, a lot of wrestling game content, as well as other stuff. And it would be interesting to see where the channel's going in the future, because you've done some quite unique things on the channel, James.
Yeah. So I've kind of tested the boundaries through the years and yeah, definitely done some unique things. Some things that haven't been done in the community before. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's nice to try and push boundaries, but this latest one's kind of found my niche, you'd say. So
good. So you feel that that's the direction that you'll be heading in the future?
Yeah.
Cool.
The thing is that this is obviously, if you've seen the reboots, I mean, they've been doing fantastically. So, which is incredible, because generally when you start a YouTube channel, you kind of do it because you want to do a YouTube channel, you want to do it on something, and generally you go for your kind of practiced area, the thing that you know the most about, and then you have to find your niche in that point, because it's kind of a fight for everybody doing the same thing, you know?
Yeah.
Because let's face it, everybody wants to play the game.
Yeah, well, they do, apart from last year, obviously. Yeah. The interesting thing is sort of moving and how that develops. But we'll sort of go into all that in a bit. Let's go right back to the beginning, though. Let's go to wrestling, because obviously it's a predominantly focused wrestling channel.
Yes.
But it's not just that. There is also the video gaming content in there, and you've sort of been pushed, it seems, into that at certain times as well. But let's go back to wrestling. So how did you get into wrestling from a young age?
I don't actually recall how I got into wrestling, which is really odd, but I do remember as far back as when I was a kid having the blue WWF bed like covers and a bean bag, and it had all the cartoon pictures of like Hulk Hogan, Macho Man, Jake the Snake, Bret Hart, and everything like that. I had a WWF annual. I just remember WWF. It was just weird. Like, I think back and I'm like, how did I even get into that? Like, I'm in England. This doesn't make any sense. Like, you know, it's not exactly like it was broadcast all over the place. And, you know, when we were growing up, I didn't have Sky, so it wasn't easy to consume. So at some point, I must have just randomly seen it or heard of it or something. I don't know. Who even knows? American pop culture.
And then started doing body slams off your sofa. It's interesting because you brought up about the UK, and it's a thing I don't think that our American friends don't understand. Like, the wrestling shows are shown at the start here at midnight, you know, generally, or 1 a.m.
Yeah, it's ridiculously late. Most of the time, I can't watch them because I get up at 6 a.m. the next day for work. So I don't want to burn the candle at both ends, as everybody says, you burn the candle at both ends. So it's just, it kills you too often, especially with the work that I do. I kind of have to have my brain switched on. Otherwise, I just want to fall asleep for all day because I need my sleep.
Yeah, don't we all? No, but even sort of growing up, like, it wasn't on TV that often. It was something, and you say about not having Sky, that's where it was shown a lot of the time. It wasn't really shown on terrestrial TV.
Yeah, and that's why it's even weirder for me to think, where did I get this? Where did this pop culture seep into my brain that I was like, yeah, Hulk Hogan? You know, when you're a kid, it doesn't make any sense to me. But I still had the figures, I still had the annual, I still had the bed covers, and the beanbag, and I'm like, why? Why did I have this stuff? I'm like, I don't understand. At some point, I've been completely converted and baptized in WWF merchandise. So
the advertising worked at some point.
It really did. It must have done. So something's definitely gone right along the way. But you know, I fell out of love with wrestling a little. You know, as you do as you're growing up.
Yeah.
But it was never I fell out of wrestling because it's rubbish now. It's because I couldn't see it. You can't see it. So,
no.
you know, at this point, you kind of just like, it's out of sight, out of mind, especially when you're a tiny human. So, not really much that I could do after that.
So you talked about having wrestling figures. What wrestling figures do you remember? Any of them in specific?
Yeah, I had some of those ones that you could twist and release, and they do a clothesline. So I had like Hulk Hogan. I had Ultimate Warrior. Pretty sure that I had Jake the Snake,
Nice.
Bret Hart as well. Yeah, it's crazy. Like, and I'm thinking back, and I'm like, why? That's amazing. Like having some of these, and then you watch some of the TV shows on like, there was one on Netflix which was going back to like the toys of like the 80s, 90s, and I'm sure one of them was on WWF figures.
It was,
and
yeah.
I was looking back and I was going, I had that
Wow.
that one. What is happening?
Nice one. Yeah, no, it is. So what was your favourite superstar from the era? You've mentioned a couple of big names there, and we're talking sort of probably same age, because you're similar age to me, so it's probably same sort of era, sort of Hulk Hogan, Ultimate Warrior, Rude, Bret Hart.
For me, when I was growing up, it was Hulk Hogan. He was the epitome of that hero character, wasn't he? You know, he was, you know, the fight for the rights of every man guy, you know, and that's what he did. And, you know, when you're growing up and when you're little and you're tiny, you know, you want to be like the hero. You want to just be the hero. You want to see him. You want to see what he's going to do. But of course, being little and, you know, in the UK, you don't really get to see what you do. So it's kind of like hearing secondhand about this myth, legend character that's larger than life. So that's pretty much who I followed. That and Bret Hart, because when I had the annual, I'd open it up and I'd look at it, and Bret Hart was like super cool. This pink and black, you know,
he had
awesome
shades on.
Yeah, he had the shades.
Oh, he's given to a kid.
It was all yeah, exactly. He had pictures of him giving it to a kid. So you'd see him like he's taking them off. He's like, yeah, have my shades on. I'm like, that guy is cool. That guy is damn cool. And then you'd flip the page and you'd see Giant Gonzalez, and you'd be like, what is that? Why is that man wearing a giant onesie? I don't.
Is that painted on hair?
Yeah, you couldn't. It's weird though. But you know, the different people that you had in there, because I remember flicking through the annual, and there was like, you know, there was Jim the Anvil Neidhart, and I was like, okay, fantastic character. And then you go next page, Brutus the Barber Beefcake. No, why Barber? Why's a barber in here? And then I flip the page and it's like Repo Man. I'm like, who is that? I don't understand.
Why doesn't he just use his scissors?
Well, this is just it. You think about it, right? Is that when I'm going through this annual, the more and more I realize in my head that was the era of the careers, you know, when they all had a job. Yeah. You know, it was Repo Man and, you know, Big Boss Man, and, you know, they just all had man. They were all men. They were all man of some port, trash man, garbage man,
farmers,
whatever you want to call it. Yeah, just random farmers. It didn't matter. But they all had random professions that they did. The Mountie, like IRS, like it's just, I don't know what Vince McMahon was doing, but back then it was a case of, right, let's just think of people's roles and what they do in everyday life. I'm surprised they didn't just come up with the office assistant or something like that, you know, just the secretary.
They probably tried it.
They probably did. I've seen some really bad ones, but yes, they probably did at some point.
IRS is a really interesting one, because as a kid, like, I didn't get what IRS was. I didn't get what taxes were and why it was so bad. And The only thing certain in life is death and taxes. What?
Yeah, it was weird to watch that as a kid, and you'd sit there and you think, but what is the IRS?
Yeah.
What are his initials? And I'm like, Ian something? I don't know.
I don't know what this means.
And then you realise that it's not. It's Erwin R. Shyster,
Yeah.
which is like, and then you're like, that's a weird name. And then of course you grow up and you're like, all right, there's two connotations to that.
It all starts to make sense.
Yeah.
So you talked earlier about it not remaining constant in your life. At what point did you sort of leave wrestling, and what brought you back?
I think it was probably early 90s that I kind of couldn't get hold of it, couldn't consume it, didn't bother me. At that point, I was already on Ninja Turtles and Ghostbusters, so it didn't matter. And then Power Rangers, obviously.
Absolutely.
Obviously.
It's fighting, but with in suits.
Exactly. And then I think it was around 1997.
Okay.
That actually we got Sky, and it was I can't remember whether it was a Monday night, and it was summer holidays. I think it was a Monday night or it was a Tuesday night. I can't remember what day it was on. Still
cool.
quite young.
That's cool.
But I remember staying up late and watching Cartoon Network, and then at 10 p.m. Cartoon Network turns into TNT.
Okay.
And when you sat there and you're watching it and you're kind of just like, Cartoon Network's now finished. I wonder what's on. It turns to TNT, and the first thing that comes up is all this fire trailing all over the place. And these guys and just going, and explosions and that. And all of a sudden it's WCW Monday Nitro.
Wow.
And I'm like, what's this? Is this wrestling? And I'm like, how do I remember what wrestling is? And then I see Hulk Hogan on there. I'm like, wait a minute.
What happened
Hulk Hogan? But I was like, but he's in WWF, because as far as I was aware, he was a WWF guy. I didn't even know there were other promotions out there as far as I was concerned.
No.
The World Wrestling Federation was the center of everything wrestling. So
yeah.
I was intrigued, and then I was sucked straight back in. That was it. It was into WCW because that was the only thing that I could properly get. We didn't have Sky Sports, so Raw was off the card. Couldn't get hold of that. But WCW Monday Nitro was my every week show. Like,
wow.
Unbelievable. Loved it.
That's awesome, because I never had Sky at all, so any of that sort of period of my life. But I didn't realise WCW was on Cartoon Network become TNT. I didn't realise that at all. It's really interesting to hear.
Yeah, it was really odd, like seeing it happen. And I just remember watching that first episode and being like, I have to watch this every week. It's just so amazing, because it was literally in the throes of the NWO as well. So it was just this super cool just anti-hero, anti-establishment gang, essentially. It was just, and then you saw like the Crow Sting, and you were just so intrigued by everything. It's like, what is this fantastic world of just people beating the crap out of each other, you know?
Yeah. No, that's really interesting, man. It's interesting to hear that someone got into it through WCW in the UK, because I've actually not heard of that before, to be perfectly honest. Everyone was watching Raw, because that's been the bigger brand in the UK.
Yeah. It's I hear a lot of people saying, "Oh yeah, you got to watch watch Raw." Raw was what I grew up with. It was on Sky Sports, or used the the Sunday catch up on Sky One or whatever it was, and but it wasn't till I think it was a few years after I started watching WCW that I even knew that there was a catch up on Sky One for Raw and SmackDown and everything that happened in between. So at this point, I started like watching the sort of Sky catch up and WCW, but I was definitely more invested in WCW.
That's cool, man. That's really cool. And then obviously it started to go downhill in the next few years as well, of course. Let's go into the games, though. Let's talk about the games. So at what point did you get into WWE games or wrestling games in general? I assume you played the old WCW games then, if you was...
I played a few of them. The thing is that I actually started playing them back when they were very, very old, because I had an Atari, and a Master System.
Okay.
So I was playing wrestling games from day dot, pretty much. That was it for me. I remember there was this old WWF game which was like completely 2D graphics, pixel graphics, and it was just so hard. And I'm pretty sure that it was actually out on arcade machines as well, because I remember seeing it in arcades too.
Yep.
But that one was ridiculously hard. So I must have been playing games from the age of 3, straight off the bat, which is insane to think.
Yeah. And has that sort of carried on as well throughout your life in terms of wrestling games?
Yeah. I think the only game that I missed out of the WWE games franchise was 2K15.
Okay.
And the reason for that was because I literally was out working. I'd just come back from Australia a couple of years back, and time's tough. You're still trying to nail down a good job and everything like that, and get yourself together. And then 2K15 is supposed to be coming out, and I'm like, oh, it's supposed to be good. Reading all the reviews, and all of a sudden it's like, don't get this game, man. Don't get it. Okay.
Well,
maybe this would be the first one that I actually missed then. And as far as I'm concerned, a lot of people will agree that I dodged a bullet. So
I think you might have done. However, it's quite interesting because 2K15 was actually the game that got me back into wrestling, because I'd been away. So from that sort of WCW period, have you remained with wrestling as a constant in your life since then?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Since WCW, since I basically, caught that again, that was it. Wrestling has been pretty much constant in my life in some way, shape or form. Even when I was out traveling around Australia, I would still catch up with it, make sure that I knew what was going on.
Right, because I left wrestling about 2000 and came back to it around 2K15, and that was the game I was like, let's try it, because I really enjoyed the wrestling games when I was younger, and so that's what got me back into wrestling really, and what started this channel really.
Oh wow! I mean that's great. Did you have a PS4 or PS3?
PS4. PS4. So I was like,
so you actually went for the version that was supposedly the most broken.
Indeed, and it got me back into it. I didn't know any better, is what I'd say, in 2015.
Yeah, that's the thing. I'd read so many reviews on 2K15. And everything just said, if you're gonna get one, get the PS3 version,
right?
Because the PS4 version is just broken. But of course, if you get the PS3 version, you get NXT, the story mode. But if you get the PS4 version, you get My Career. And it's like, oh,
that sounds
which
great.
Which one do I get?
Yeah,
the working one or the not working one is what it came down to. And it's kind of like, I decided just to avoid both and just give it a year off.
If only we had reviews a little bit earlier last year.
Yeah, everything was a bit last minute, and things started like, I kind of tried to remain positive about 2K20.
I know you did,
the point, and I was like, I'm really struggling to remain positive and just hoping that this is just maybe some bad timing. And then when you get into the nitty gritty of it, you can understand why it happened.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, absolutely. Let's carry on with old wrestling games. So what strengths do you feel like the old wrestling games? I mean, what's sort of your favorite what's your favorite wrestling game, I suppose?
See, that's tough. I mean, they're all so different. I didn't get a lot of time with an N64. I was always a Sega and PlayStation guy, so I wasn't on the side of Nintendo. That was off the books for me. So I didn't really get a lot of time to play anything like No Mercy or Backstage Assault or anything like that. I did play sometimes around friends and things like that, but I never had a copy of my own.
No.
So for me, it was let me think. I think the first one that I played that was on PlayStation 1 that I can remember was the WWF Raw. I think
was it
was.
What, or was it
Warzone?
Warzone.
That was it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Warzone, and my God, that was so bad. But the coolest thing that I remember from that game was Gangrel's entrance.
Oh, indeed, man.
Which is just like, I think back to it now, and I was like, back then that was amazing, but the game was just so bad. So when you go look at it, you're like, That must have been top-notch gameplay and graphics for back then, because I don't know why I stuck around.
It hasn't aged very well, I'd say. But then obviously
No.
in the future years, you got the Attitude game, you got SmackDown, SmackDown 1 and SmackDown 2.
SmackDown 2, SmackDown
And then Here Comes the Pain, Shut Them Out. I mean, it's a really great sort of era of video games that we all remember fondly, because the games were something you could buy, and money was important back then. I mean, we was a lot younger. We didn't necessarily have an income. So games were important, and they needed to last. And that's one of the things that WWE games did.
Yes, they did consistently. And that was what I always loved about those SmackDown eras, was that I could just go to town with it all the time, and it would always be fun because it would always be something ridiculous, especially when it came to Here Comes the Pain, and you could just literally go to town with it, which is completely insane. But when I go back and I think of the games, it was really like 2006, 2007, Here Comes the Pain. I mean, that entire series of games was really good. Which is really odd to say, considering like a lot of people say, hey, oh man, bring back GM mode from these series, bring it back. And I'm sat there, I go, that was probably my least played mode.
Okay.
if I'm honest.
Yeah, no, that's cool.
Because it wasn't, to me, very well thought out, or done very nicely in a way that I would say, oh yeah, that's completely playable. That I always lost, which was just...
No, it's interesting, because especially when you go back and look at it, it certainly is. I think the idea of it and what appealed to people was the idea of having this control and this storyline. And even though you wasn't getting everything given to you in the game, you was able to create these stories within your own sort of mind. Yeah,
in a sense, yeah. And that's why when GM mode was dropped in favor of Universe mode in 2011, it was like a revelation, because SmackDown versus Raw 2011, when I went back and I played Universe mode, like, and I completely forgotten about it. But I remember just setting up a little basic match card. This was only a few months ago, I think it was. I did it on a stream.
Cool.
Or did I just do it on a video? I can't remember. But I went back and played it, and I played a match, and then immediately after the match, Vince McMahon came out and said, oh, no. You're not finished yet tonight. Here's another opponent. I was like, I didn't book this. This is just something the computer threw at me, which is really cool to think that it could do that sort of thing. Yeah. Now, it can't do that.
It can. It just doesn't. It's frustrating. It really is, obviously.
It's even more shocking to think it's the same engine after all these years.
Yeah, I think hopefully next year we'll bring some good stuff. Let's go into your YouTube channel a little bit, if that's all right, dude. Sure. You started a YouTube channel about 3 years ago?
I think it was 3 or 4 years. It was 2007. Must have been 2017. Yeah, so about 3 years ago.
So, what made you want to start a YouTube channel?
Really odd. But basically, I was working as a help desk guy for an IT company, but it wasn't really an IT company. It was just business to consumer help desk stuff. Mm-hmm. So, basically, I got to a point in my job where I was really bored. So I learned how to code in Python and automated my job. So somebody would call up. I'd say, all right, connect to their PC and then run my script. My script would do everything for me, and I'd sit back and do nothing but watch YouTube videos. So it got to that point. So that was just my time was watching YouTube videos, and I remember watching a few of them, like Smack Talks, and a few of the guys, and thinking, I could do that. Mm-hmm. Well, why don't I try and do that? And I remember years and years ago, I attempted it, but my my laptop at home was nowhere near as powerful as it would need to be. So I remember just giving up, binning it off, because Premiere Pro wasn't running at all, wouldn't do it. So I found a really ridiculously old pirated copy of Premiere Pro.
Okay.
And just had a bit of a go putting together some videos. And one of the first videos I did was actually taking Smack Talks' Did You Know format and applying it to No Man's Sky.
Right.
And doing like a No Man's Sky Did You Know video for a few like bits for their update, because their new update had just come out. Mm-hmm. And it did all right. And I was like, yeah, that was cool, but I can't really do much more with it, and I don't really know that much about the game. And I was like, I wonder if there's anything else I can apply it to. And I was like, well, I played the WWE series like a lot. I pretty much know the stuff about WWE series. Why don't I try and do this sort of thing for WWE games? And do the My Career or whatever it is, and then you start making them and doing the news and covering things that that you can cover, and it just kind of molded from there.
It spirals out of control as well. And it's interesting because you did a lot of No Man's Sky when you first started the channel, but obviously the direction changed. And what do you think the reason for that direction is? Was it something that was called for, or?
I just think it was just, the thing is that naturally over time you kind of realize what you're good at and what you aren't good at. And when it came to No Man's Sky, when it first started off, it was kind of like nice for me to play, but it wasn't watchable. And I found it was just more of a chill out for me. So it wasn't content, as it were. I wanted to do something that was actually quite cool. And as far as I was concerned, playing a chill game by myself and having people watch me, it wasn't really bringing in people. So I thought, oh, maybe I'll start a series. Maybe I'll do some My Career stuff. And I tried that, and it didn't really work. And I don't know whether that's because, probably because it's a British accent, I suppose, in a weird way, if you kind of get what I'm saying, because it's one of those things where you hear a lot of American accents when you do My Career playthroughs. Like, they're all American accents. When you look at British people that are playing the My Career series, doesn't really work. I don't know why. I think it's the accent, personally. I
think, I agree with you. I think it's partly the product, because the WWE product has been so American for so long. To actually put a British accent on top of that actually is a little bit too jarring. But then there's been some wonderful British YouTubers and sort of wrestling news sites like Wrestle Talk and Cultaholic and What Culture, who are really sort of spearheading British news in terms of wrestling YouTube.
Definitely. But if you take that person, I think when it comes down to things like this, you've got to look at your demographic. Like, the majority of the people that watch my channel are from America, so for them, if they're going to watch a My Career, and most people will watch a My Career or play a My Career because they would like to embody that, or at least be able to feel the same sort of thing as the other people, and and get sort of immersed into it. But when you play My Career and all of a sudden the other person that you're watching has a British accent, it's kind of hard for you to go, ooh, I can't really, doesn't work that way for me. I can't get on the same level, because it's weird hearing somebody playing a game with a British accent.
I agree, man.
I don't know. So I tried it. It didn't work. I went back to news, and news kept me going for a while. So,
and it's done well. And you've also gone back. I mean, let's go into, because I'm trying to avoid 2K20 until we sort of get to it, and we can talk about, because I think that was quite an interesting evolution of your channel as well. Let's talk about other wrestling games. Is there any other wrestling games that you play or have played in the years? We've touched briefly a little bit on WCW, but like Fire Pro or anything like that you played?
I gave Fire Pro a go, but it wasn't really for me. And I think that some people, obviously a lot of people enjoy it. For me, it just, I don't know, it didn't gel with me. And maybe I didn't give it enough of a shot, but I don't know, I just didn't think that it was for me. I prefer the whole 3D game simulation in that sense. And I know that a lot of people will say, hey, Fire Pro, man, it's really good. It kind of reminds me of No Mercy with the whole systems and the way that it builds up and things like that. It's like, but I didn't get a lot of time with No Mercy either, so it's hard for me to engage with it. Maybe I'll go back and I'll play it again and see what it's like, and actually get some time with it. But I mean, it's sat on my PC. I think I had it on for like half an hour. I was like, I don't get this. What's wrong with me?
Everyone else loves this and talks about the detail. I think it's one of them games that is really sort of it's very difficult to master, and it's quite deep in that. But at the same time, it's not an easy game to just jump into. I went into it because of Fire Promoter mode, because I've always enjoyed the GM mode idea. But actually, even the Fire Promoter mode, it's a massive cost because you've got the price of the game, which is expensive because there's not that many copies of it in the UK as it is, and then it's DLC as well. So it's about £74 as a sort of.
It's weird where they've kind of employed this. What's the best way? It's kind of employed this bit by bit game purchase where instead of selling one complete game, they're like, hey, so here's your base game, here's your game with New Japan on there as well. Okay, so you wanted the GM mode, so here's the GM mode. That's more money. You know, if you want anything else, that's going to be even more. And I don't get this. That's what really annoys me with games these days, is the games that they buy and they play is they're not complete games. If you want a full game, you're going to end up paying for the base game, and then all of the content on top, which is going to take you easy to like 120, 150. And you just sat there like, why? Why could you not just make all this, release it on day one, and people probably would have bought it? And it's like, well, greed.
We're in the day of season passes, unfortunately. Any other wrestling games?
There's been a few that I have tried. I'm trying to think of the other ones that I've tried at the moment, apart from obviously WWE.
Yeah.
What was there was a WCW game? I think it was WCW Thunder. I had. I think that was for PlayStation 1 or 2.
Okay.
Can't remember, but that was seriously old as well.
Not aged well.
No, it was good. I enjoyed it. I do have fond memories of WCW Thunder. No, I think that's really it. I mean, the amount of wrestling games out there now is going up
massively.
There was Shikara, obviously, but that's been completely rebranded. There's a lot of games in development. But I've kind of stuck to one series at the moment, mainly because even though, you know, it's a bit hit and miss, it's consistent. And it's filled the void that has been there for wrestling games up until this point.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff coming out, and there's a lot of stuff for either fans of sort of the really old school arcade games, or you know the 2K alternative, if you like. And it feels like we're really sort of approaching an era where there's going to be choice, and you're going to be able to choose what type of game you want to play. Yeah,
definitely. There's a lot of people that are saying things that are harking back, and I feel like almost some of it is a bit propaganda-y, if you see what I'm saying. Like people saying, hey, well, guess what? You remember that Aki engine that everybody loved? Well, we're going to see if we can bring it back. And everybody's like, oh, really? And I'm just sat there going, just get a new engine. Please, somebody develop a new engine. It's been a long time.
Yeah, it is. I agree with you completely. So with each 2K game that comes out, you provide us on your channel a lot with updates into the development and everything that's going on, releases that they're announcing. What is it that keeps you excited about these updates?
Oh man, it's really a catch-22 because like I love providing the updates, even though a lot of them are just like, yeah, it's the same thing as it was last year, but it's trying to find those glimmers of hope, you know. A lot of people, I'll see news now, and I'm quite selective on my news now with what I put up. Like if it's something significant, then I'll talk about it. But when it comes down to things that I see announced, like, oh man, guess what? The photo capture has started and the scanning, and it's like, woohoo! They do this every year now. Like
it's the job.
It's just what they do, you know. But if something comes up and goes, hey, they're developing a new mode, I'm like, I'm talking about that.
Absolutely.
I'm talking about that. But it's just like, it's the start of 2K season and it's fantastic. But when I see people saying things like, hey, Corey Graves is recording lines for the new 2K game, it's like, that's fantastic. More new lines. But then if they turned around and said, Mauro Ranallo is recording lines for 2K as well this year, that's content I can get on board with. That's something that's worth reporting. So it's picking and choosing now, because it's so often that everybody reports the same thing, and it's so oversaturated. You kind of have to stand out.
Yeah, and provide the important updates. Absolutely, it'd be interesting if they told you how many, not just how many new lines Corey's recording, but how many of the old ones there was reusing.
All of them. It's just like FIFA. Like, they're like, we've got so many new lines, and it's like, then I'm going to hear the same old ones until you take them out. Don't just record new ones, replace them.
Right, are you ready? We're going into it. We're going to approach 2K20, dude. I am. It's coming out, right? And you, on your channel, I saw this like wave of excitement. This you early plans for a lot of coverage early on. This included you to being invited for a preview day.
Yeah, the whole excitement for 2K20 of what it could have been, the possibilities of a 2K visual concepts that was no longer shackled to Ukes, and vice versa. The thought process of what that could have been, because at this point you had no idea who to blame for stagnant, non-growth of a game for years. And I've been saying it for years, like, if I was 2K or Visual Concepts, as soon as I bought that IP, I'd have been like, right, we're making a new engine.
Yeah.
Because and let's make it 2K20. I had in my head this whole narrative of 2K have blatantly bought this IP, and for 5 years they have been putting together this badass new engine. They've been doing it since day one, 5 years later, and then 5 years after, which makes sense. 5 years is a good amount of time for a new engine.
Yeah.
They turn around and they go, right, Ukes, you knew it was coming. We're cutting ties with you. It's been great, but this is what we're doing. And Ukes have gone, yep, we knew it was coming, because they did. They knew for years that it was coming. They knew that they were just inside development. They were going to bring it in one day, and that was not an issue. But that didn't happen.
Well, it's interesting because I think when we heard the news that had happened, we all, like you sort of said, we remained positive about it. Maybe
No, we didn't.
Maybe this is the change that we need.
The amount of people that were just like, oh man, they fired Ukes. And the amount of people that went, no man, Ukes walked away. They said this game is going to be trash, and they walked away. And
we
it's
want
like, no,
nothing to do with it.
It's like there was so many conflicting stories, and everybody was just saying, well, what's the true story? I mean, I know the true story. Well, I know what I've been told, and from collective amounts of people, and I just sort of sit there and go, man, this is just, if you could have known, if you could have predicted, you'd have probably made a killing on the odds, but you just, it's crazy. Like, it was a really weird drama that was just not necessary in the end.
Absolutely. Going back to the preview, can you tell us a little bit about that day? How was that for you, and how did that make you feel, sort of as a content creator that's been invited by this production company to capture footage? That was a big deal for you.
So yeah, I mean, 2K20, I think it was my second year capturing. So I didn't get 2K18. I went to 2K19. 2K19 capture day was absolutely amazing. So that was my first outing with being invited by 2K. Big shout out to 2K, because my God, these guys have like opened up my world for this kind of thing. But when it came to 2K20, I was thinking, this is going to be super cool. Like, I cannot wait to get my hands on this game. And even though it had been like months of delays and silence and dubious things going on, and you're thinking, oh, okay, maybe it's this, maybe it's that, and then trailers coming out with like static hair, and you're like, okay, they're gonna fix it, right? They're gonna fix it. They'll be fine. Like, let's just all not panic. People are saying this is gonna be trash. Look at that gameplay. I'm thinking to myself, no, it's work in progress. If people just put work in progress at the bottom of the trailers, maybe people wouldn't freak out as much. And then you get in there, and the day was fantastic. Like, it was really nice. I got to speak to Tony Storm, Trent Seven, Tyler Bate.
Awesome interview, I watched that.
I mean, Trent Seven and Tyler Bate I've spoken to before on my local wrestling promotion. They're obviously great guys. So is Pete Dunne. And Tony Storm's an absolute sweetheart. So she's genuinely just such a lovely person. But
very talented wrestler as well. Very incredible.
Extremely.
Yeah.
But yeah, we all came in and there was a wrestling ring set up. So we got all our gear out and we, connected all the stuff up that we needed to capture. And then we all got in this wrestling ring and sat down. There were chairs, steel chairs in the wrestling ring. We all sat down. We had a presentation, telling us about the new features and everything like that. And I was like, okay, right. This is sounding okay at the moment. And then we only get about 4 hours to play. Mm-hmm. Now, you can imagine 4 hours, and I think there's about 30 to 60 people roughly in the room. But I don't think it was a full house that day. I think a few people couldn't make it. So you only get like 4 hours to try and comb through. Now, the thing is that when you're a content creator, you're not going through and going, right, let's find all the bugs and all the things that are broken. You're looking for content. So You're looking for things like entrances. You're looking for things like, new modes and new graphics and anything new that you can grab. So you're trying to grab as much stuff as possible. And you don't notice as much that's broken because it's not a playtest, it's a content grab.
Yeah.
So after playing a few things, getting a few bits of content and, getting everything that I thought was really cool, I was the first one to notice the Elias entrance, which I thought was super cool. And then everybody started looking around and was like, because I was sat there going, oh my God, this is amazing.
Let's hope no one else sees.
What's he looking at? And it's like, oh, I'm getting that entrance. And it's just like everybody's copying me, getting this new entrance. I'm like, shit.
It's all good. It's all good.
So everybody else is like getting these entrances, and it's like, okay, never mind, cool. We'll just move on to the next thing. And I'm catching all these really cool things, and then you have a break, and you go and have lunch, which is all provided. It's very lovely, very nice.
Yep.
And I spoke to Mark Little and Derek, one of the guys who's a developer there, and we had a nice little chat. And I asked Derek, I was like, so, what's it been like, developing and things like that? How's it going with the whole development? He goes, it was quite hard because, we didn't have everything that we needed. And I was like, right. I mean, like, obviously there's a few issues that I can see in here. Is there going to be like a day one patch? He was like, oh yeah, I think there'll be a day one patch. I was like, cool, right. I mean, this is all sounding a lot better than what we're playing at the moment, because what we're playing at the moment did have its issues a little bit, but it was barely noticeable because you're not really getting enough time to play.
You're not playing it. No, you're grabbing content, as you explained. Yeah.
So when it came down to the end of it, like I heard a few other people in the sort of like the food area, like speaking to each other, and they were saying like, oh well, this isn't looking good, and this isn't a bit broken. I was like, well, what are you seeing that's broken? And it's like, oh well, there's this and there's this and there's this, and I'm like, and somebody else go, well, I noticed this, and it's like, like a few people are starting to notice things here. So I'm sitting there thinking, day one patch, day one patch, it should be okay. It should be fine. It should be fine. So that day kind of just flew by. You get your content, you go home, you make as much out of it as you can. And that was pretty much it until 2K20 got released early by retailers.
Yep. And then we all realized what we had. And I mean, look, for you,
like 100,000 playtesters all at once going, what is happening?
What?
That was the weird. Worst thing is that was before the day one patch as well.
Okay.
It's just so it was even worse than what we played. And the things that you saw were just like, oh my God, this is the state of the game on the disc.
Yeah.
Jeez, man.
It's going to take a lot of gigabytes to sort this out.
Gigabytes took a lot of months and months of fixes.
And it's still all over the place, really.
It's playable.
Yeah.
It's playable,
yeah.
But it's not fully
fun.
Functional.
I think is one of the problems. I mean, 2K19 was fun, and this is just a massive step back.
Oh man, it was horrific. It was horrific. Like as a player, like as a content creator, it was a killer for a lot of channels. A killer for a lot of channels.
Yeah.
And for a player, it was just like, what have I done? Why have I bought this game?
Yeah, yeah,
And even more so, a lot of the content creators, myself included, got a lot of the flack and saying, "You said this game would be all right," and it's like I got 4 hours.
yeah,
I captured stuff that I thought would be cool. If I could have spent 10, 15, 24 hours with the game, I'd have come back and said, "Don't." But but we didn't get the time, you know. And as far as I was concerned, I was holding out hope that, you know, Visual Concepts would get something out that was at least playable. You know, you think at, you know, at this rate, but then you find out the reasons why it wasn't playable, which I'm sure you'll want to go into later on, but we'll talk about that later.
You make a lot, like your trailers for the My Career, and you put so much work in as a content creator, not just to play the game. You're not just having fun with the game, but this is a massive part of your channel, and you get the game. And at what point did you realize for yourself that the preview build that you played or your expectations of the game were met because it hadn't changed significantly enough to make it enjoyable?
The thing is that I don't measure things on my channel per se, because like some of the stuff that I want to do, like I made trailers for like the My Career side of things for my channel because I like doing that sort of thing. I love being creative and, you know, kind of like making these nice trailers and these things that kind of I hope will blow up and get me a bit more attention.
Yeah.
But when I look at people like, you know, Chris Denker's channel, who's obviously like the guy generally for a lot of people to play a My Career mode on 2K. And I measure his views from day one till probably about his 5th or 6th episode, and the drop was dramatic. Like people did not want to watch it. It was gross to see, if I'm being honest. It's just like I've never seen a drop off of a game that quickly on a My Career. That is horrific. Like, it is so bad. I would like to see how it's different from UFC now, because even like, you know, I've been watching UFC 4 and they blew out the My Career on that, of how good it could be. And when I played it, I was like, this isn't
what was promised. Yeah.
No. So I'd quite like to think what the scale is between those two. But yeah, man, the previous My Career modes over the years got way more watches. So yeah, I think it was just not only the My Career, but I think just overall, because the game itself was just absolute pants, that it just killed it off, and it was dead. It was dead in the water on arrival, floating just on the top, and everybody was just poking it with sticks. Why?
And it's hard as a content creator. I mean, I did a My Chemical, that's a band, My Career mode, and people don't realize how difficult it is to sort of do when you're trying to remain positive and engaging to an audience while sort of playing a game. I mean, how would you find that? Because I found it so difficult, dude.
I did, to a point where I was like, oh, do you know what? Maybe I should switch from My Career mode to, because the thing is that with My Career mode, the most depressing thing, and I don't know if you probably did think the same thing, but like last year, I thought it was okay. You know, you were playing as Buzz, and I was like, well, it's not really me. It's not really my career, but I'm okay with it. You know, it's kind of cool.
Take me through a story. I'm okay. I can do this. If it's going to be great.
I can kind of deal with this. You know, I can't really, you know, embrace this character because it's not really my character. It's, you know, somebody else's character that I'm kind of embodying a little bit, but it's not really my character. It's not my career. It's Buzz's career with my face on it. So, but then when 2K20 came out and it was My Career, it was the same thing again, but with Red and Trey. And I kind of sat there and I was like, I can't do this. Like, my character would be nowhere near who Trey is.
It's annoying.
Yeah, because I, like, at first, you know, I thought, this is kind of funny. Like, I can understand it's a bit goofy, but it wore thin very quickly.
Agreed.
And I just kind of sat there. I was like, I can't do this anymore, because I can't really connect with Red mainly because when I play as a dude. You know, I'm playing as me. It's me. It's my career. I'm going to play as me. I'm not a woman, so that's fair enough. Some people like playing as women. I like playing as women, but when I'm playing a sports game, I want to be a dude. But if you give me like a Lara Croft, absolutely amazing. If you give me like The Last of Us 2, I haven't played that yet, but I really want to play it.
I quite enjoy it.
But when it comes to a simulation, I want to play as me, my career, not Red, certainly not bloody Trey. Because my God, the fact that, don't get me wrong, 2K19, the whole buzz, the way he got his nickname because he got social media buzz was just, that was bad.
Cheesy.
But being called Trey because you slipped on a tray. Why? Who does this?
Oh, writers. There probably is the WWE writers, to be perfectly honest.
I couldn't do it. Couldn't do it. And the stupidest thing about this to this day is my most viewed video on my channel is how to get past a glitch / bug in 2K20's My Career Mode against Velveteen Dream. That speaks volumes.
It does.
That has over 100,000 views.
Yeah.
And people are still thanking me to this day. Other people are going, guys, you don't have to do this. And like, it's a glitch or a bug. It doesn't happen every time.
No,
guys.
No.
It happens, which is why people are thanking me. It's just.
And that's sort of a massive sort of roundup of it when that's happening to that video, you know.
It's a killer. Like, it got to a point where I stopped doing my career. I was like, oh man, maybe I could do something else. Maybe I could do my own universe, you know, because universe content is fun to make. You get to make your own storylines. You know, you can really invest in yourself. And I don't know if you saw my 2K19 NXT Tokyo.
No, I don't think I did.
I put myself behind the commentary table using a green screen.
Okay.
And called the whole thing. So that was something that nobody done in 2K games before. That was completely innovative. People were like, this dude's put himself behind the commentary desk in 2K19. I was wearing a suit and everything. And it was genuinely calling the action from behind the desk. And they cut to me because I made it cut to me when we were in between matches, and then it would go on to the next match and it would switch back. I made it look so good. It was so professional. It was looking amazing. And I was actually super proud of it, super impressed with myself that I managed to do this and like, you know, do something that had never been done in a 2K game before. And then I think to myself, oh, maybe I could do something like that with 2K20. But Universe Mode had so many issues as well. I binned it after the first episode. I was like, I can't do this. Not only do I not have time, because I don't have time as somebody in a full-time job and a father and a husband and just generally trying to do things anyway, I don't have time to make an episode of Universe Mode as well as everything else that I'm trying to put on the channel. Like, if it was just a Universe channel, I could probably do it.
Yeah, but it's not. And so at what point... Like, what other content was you hoping to create for the game? You sort of gone into that a little bit there, but was there any other ideas that you had, like with 2K20, that was obviously dropped?
Really, it was just My Career, the Universe Mode, which would have been good if Universe wasn't so trash. That was pretty much it. I kind of laid off the Four Horsewoman stuff. I didn't actually touch Showcase Mode this year because, as far as I'm concerned, Showcase Mode should be nostalgic, not something that happened a couple of years ago. Which kind of hit me the same with Daniel Bryan because it wasn't nostalgic.
Too recent for you. Yeah,
it was too recent. You know, the showcases that I've always loved were the ones that were like really set further back, you know, like I would personally, like an Austin one, you know, that was a fantastic showcase, or Shawn Michaels, you know, fantastic showcases. Personally, I would love back if they went if they went in for next year and they did something that's truly nostalgic, like a Triple H showcase or an Edge showcase.
Yeah.
Something that you go back and you go, man, I've seen this wrestler recently, but I don't know his full history and what he's done and what he's achieved. And not only that, because it's kind of like an education for people who are newer to the program, to the whole concept of WWE, they get a history lesson at how cool this person is, and like, oh, well, everybody's big on Triple H, but he's just an on-screen authority figure. And it's like, no.
Yeah,
there's a history of why he's amazing.
Yeah,
let's go back. That's what a showcase should be for. Let's go back. And not only that, because it doesn't just inform the fans of that, it takes the diehards back to a point where they're like, wrestling was amazing, man. Let's go back to this era, and you can play that. So why, that makes sense to me.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with your concept of like the new showcase. It's like what it's still, the story's still happening. Yeah. The Becky Lynch is still evolving, Bayley's still evolving, all that sort of stuff. Like, it's to a point, but it's not the complete sort of collection. And then 2 years ago, they revealed the Ric Flair edition, and it was like, wow, okay, we could get a showcase of Ric Flair, and I mean that'd be great because it could cover WCW, WWE, and again, nothing.
No, I think they're really missing a trick not having a Monday Night Wars showcase.
Yep.
Personally.
Yep.
But I understand that would take a lot of licensing for superstars. I mean, don't get me wrong, they've got it already in the bag because they've got Hulk Hogan, they've got Big Show, they've got Kevin Nash and Scott Hall, they've got Shawn Michaels and X-Pac. There's a lot of people on there that crossed over.
You've got a lot of big players from that.
Yeah. There's a lot of people that crossed over, like Lex Luger as well. You have a whole thing there that you could make a Monday Night Wars showcase out of. You don't have to tell every story. No. But you've definitely got them there. Key players in that Monday Night War. You've basically got everybody from WWE. Yeah. And then you just go to WCW and you go Kevin Nash, Hulk Hogan, Scott Hall, Ultimate Warrior at one point.
I mean, do you really want to play that match?
Wow. Do I really want to play the Kevin Nash versus Goldberg match? It wouldn't be a match, but
finger poke of doom.
That was the worst. I couldn't believe that. Couldn't believe that whole thing with those guys. Unbelievable. I felt so bad for Goldberg, and at the same time I don't. But then you get the cool things that happen as well, like even more stuff. You get Jeff Jarrett moving over, you get Bret Hart moving over. Yeah, there's literally so much stuff, and you could carry it on if only they still had Jericho. You could have had the debut of WCW Jericho moving over to WWE, and that would have been amazing as well. But that's obviously not happening now, so
I can't see it happening. No. So how difficult was the decision for you to say, right, content's here, it's okay, I'm not enjoying it though, and at what point did you decide to drop it from the channel, and how was that for you? I mean, I remember watching one of your live streams, and you got to a point, it seemed like the stream was going to go on later, and you just went, I can't play this anymore. I'm getting frustrated.
Yeah. I think if you're referring to the one that I was probably on, it was probably to do with the whole Carmella incident. Yeah. I knew it was. That was the point where I went, nah, this is dead to me.
But a big moment, because that's your. It's not your business, but it is your business. It's your channel, Yeah. And there's the decision. Like, I can't do this.
I was frustrated, and it was just all because of poor game design, as far as I was concerned. Because the fact is that I could beat up Carmella to a point where I would lose, which doesn't make any sense. No, that shouldn't happen. Like, why is me beating Carmella up to a point that I can lose make any sense? Like, surely if I can beat her up to the point where she has no health left, I can simply drag her where I need to go and hit my finish on her like it wanted me to. That was a poor game design choice, and that was the final breaking point for me where I just went, it's really not worth it. And to this day, I still have not finished 2K20 my career mode.
No, neither have I.
No, and it's just, I don't really know what to say about it, because it's a game that should have been good, but didn't get any favors done to it whatsoever.
No.
Nothing.
No.
It was really, it was dead in the water before it was even put on disc, as far as I'm concerned. And that was because there was a lot of back-end controversy. So
yeah, of course. So, sorry, we spent a lot of time talking about 2K20 now, but it is quite an interesting, and it's also been interesting for the development of your channel as well.
Yeah, no, I'm more than happy to talk about it, because it's probably one of the most interesting sagas that's led to so much more happening, not just for me, but just in the wider game itself. You know, there's been a lot of developments since then. You know,
And I think that's
crazy.
a great story as well, because it shows how you've taken this really bad situation and been able to come out the other side of it with a positive outcome. And I think your channel's doing really well at the minute, or it seems to be. You moved on to other video game content immediately after, but then you went back into wrestling. You did a video about 8 months ago, which said 10 things that 2K21 needs to fix, which did really well on your channel, like over 50,000 views or something.
Yeah, that was the My Career one, wasn't it? No, it wasn't. That was just a random one, wasn't it?
It was just top 10 things, yeah. And to me, it feels like that was the video that probably sort of led you to this sort of reboot series, which is doing really well, which is where you look at various elements of the game and sort of separate it into different videos so that people can go and see exactly what they want to see. And you go in depth about features into it, not just like a list, a top 10 list, which is what the initial sort of video was. What was it? And also you do all the sort of visual work to it. I mean, you work so hard on even before we was chatting tonight, it's like, I'm just going to carry on working on creating some menus.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work. And so what made you want to produce that on such a deep level?
The weird thing is that like I said, I have always been really interested in making the games better, and like even just getting suggestions out there. It's not like you can just go to 2K and go, hey, you need to do this.
No.
You know, because people will go, it's like me just turning up to somebody and saying, hey, do this thing, and then they're going, well, how's that going to benefit me?
Yeah.
You're just telling me, just do this. It's like, it's not going to really benefit anybody. So it's like, I mean, nobody's really going to listen to me, are they? It's just little old me at the end of the day. I'm just another player of a game.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember just one day, it's like you said, I'd done the top things that I wanted changing that would probably make the game better. And I was looking around at a couple of things. And I remember on YouTube one day, and I was like, somebody made a GM mode concept. And I was like, you know, that's kind of cool. And I went on it, and it was just lots of movement, like no speaking. It was just kind of like, it's just moving pictures, really. It was kind of just super basic. And I was like, I can take this. I could do this. Let's take this and just make it better. So
great.
It's essentially what it was.
Yeah.
People do concepts a lot. They do all the time. And I just kind of took that and went, okay, what would this look like if I did this times 100? So what can I do that would really make me stand out? But not only that, make people pay attention. Because if you just have a menu and a mode that you just see people flicking through and it's got nothing on it, it's just silence, and you just kind of like, well, that was cool. But if you've got somebody that's talking you through something like it's an actual update from 2K itself, it grabs their attention. They're like, oh man, I mean, this could actually be a reality. It makes sense, you know? So I'm sat there, I'm like, right, what do I do? So I made the 2K21 My Career Reboot, which had no menus, had nothing in it. It was just a lot of me talking, but I still had a lot of me saying with pictures on there and giving you examples of things. There was like layers of stuff. It's kind of like, I suppose, a moving collage of, of things that I thought would make sense.
Yeah.
And then after I made that, and it kind of took off, and I was like, right, I want to take this to the next level. You know, I've got to make menus. I've got to make this stand out. You know, I've got to make this. But what do I do next? And I was like, right, I'm going to make GM mode. Screw it. Like, this is a mode that, as far as I'm concerned, when it first came out, it wasn't that great to me. I don't have nostalgic memories of it, but the capability of what it could be, like, that would be right up there. It would be amazing. So I set to work. I built out and wrote out an entire list of things and features that I think would work and how they connect with each other, and what would tie in with what and how it would calculate this and that, and just basically had a full sheet on my Google documents, which was just I think it was like 3 pages long.
Yeah.
And then was like, right, now I've got all these features of stuff that I want. I've got to break them down into menus. So then I made another page which was just menus that would go into submenus, and you'd have the top layers and your submenus in that. So I was like, right,
this is getting
now
deep.
I've got to make them. I was kind of like, for a couple of weeks, I was like, feeling a little bit overwhelmed here.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm not sure if this is going to actually ever get finished. So for a couple of weeks, I was like, I think I need to step back and maybe just, take a step away. Otherwise, I'm going to get too overwhelmed. Then I came back to it, and all of a sudden, it was like, yeah, full pedal, let's go, and just banged out these menus, and then took it into After Effects and started animating it. And I was like, oh man, I really should write a script for this and actually tell people what everything's doing. So I had to write a script as well.
Wow.
And it's just, you don't realize, like, you plan out all the features, you plan out the menus and what they're going to look like. You make the menus and what they're going to look like. They have to have their own specific parts. Then you've got to write out the script that you have to, do the speech for and everything like that when you're doing it. Record that, put it in, animate it to that speech. And then finally, at the end, you've got to go, did I forget anything? Yes, of course you did. So,
I forgot to hit record.
No, it wasn't even that. It's the stupid things like, hey, you missed out this feature. It's like, I've got to go back and re-record a bit and then stick it into the audio and shift everything to the right and put the other menu.
Yeah.
Damn it.
I don't even think you're selling the amount of work it is, actually, because you've forgotten, like, recording the footage and putting in the graphics afterwards. And do you not? Oh, where do you get that from?
Everything's... Oh, well, I mean, the gameplay was footage.
Yeah.
But that was recorded by one of my friends.
Nice, cool.
Who I got him to record some of the stuff because I didn't have time to set up mods on my PC for it. But the GM mode... the GM mode one, the universe one, that's just all my menus that I've crafted.
Yeah.
So
I think it was one of the later ones. I thought there was like a moving shot, and you had the labels come up and stuff like that, which is a lot of work, man.
Yeah, that one was me. That was the gameplay. The gameplay from the later half of that, which was the redo of the gameplay rather than like the arena stuff.
Mm-hmm.
The gameplay stuff was my friend who captured that.
Right.
And then I just took what I needed from it, edited around it, and tried to make it look as good as possible. But yeah, the arena stuff, that was all captured by me because I knew where I needed to go and what I needed to find and collect. And yeah, there were a few instances of, oh, damn it, I've missed that thing. I need to go back and record that. And yeah, and does that look good enough? No, that doesn't look good enough. And the worst thing is trying to work with the camera in 2K19 and 2K20. just shifting it over a little bit and then just shifting it over a little, zoom out, and you're like, this isn't center. For God's sake, you just kind of get ahead of yourself, and then you come back and it's just, you're all over the place, really. It's a bit mental.
It's difficult, but what you end up with is a really well produced sort of video. And I think you've taken it to your live streams. You've done a couple of live streams now where you've sort of been working on it with people.
Yeah, so I did it a few on Twitch. I didn't get really many people showing up on Twitch, and that's because I don't really have a massive Twitch following. So the last one that I did was just on YouTube. And that worked out a lot better. I had like over 200 people watching at once, which is crazy numbers for me. So I was extremely happy with that, and it was just good to kind of share my vision and how I do it. There's a lot more talking than there was working, which is kind of less productive, but it was good to kind of give people an idea of how I was doing it still. So yeah, there's been a lot of work that's gone into it, and a lot of time and a lot of energy. And I kind of sat there thinking, like, is this worth it? But when you get on there and you see all the comments from people, you're like, man, really was worth it, and especially because it got noticed by Patrick Gilmore. So
Patrick Gilmore
is the WWE new head executive of WWE games.
Oh, well done, you. Fingers
Did you
crossed.
not? Were you not aware of that?
I wasn't aware of that. No, I wasn't aware of that. Sorry,
I'm not. You kind of missed out on this.
Hey, I've got a whole wrestling channel. I don't just necessarily do just video games.
You should just be watching me. What are you doing?
Unbelievable. Well, congratulations on that. I mean, that's a massive achievement.
Yeah. We've been in contact quite frequently.
Okay.
So yeah, we do talk quite a bit. There was an opportunity to go and work, but I couldn't relocate to the US.
Oh, so, wow. Congratulations.
Yeah, but I couldn't relocate to the US, which is one of those things. So that's kind of out of the window. But yeah, we've talked quite a lot about, the new game, where they're going, where they're heading. And, when he first...
Oh, hello. Hello.
What did I do?
I don't know. Right? It's probably just the internet. I'm just being a bit screwy. We've got trolls.
Unbelievable. But sorry, I spoke to him. It was very surreal because he'd noticed a lot of people, when he said they did the polls, didn't they, of saying what do people want in the game, and the one that came up, the huge one that came up, was GM mode. Mm-hmm. And people just started tagging him as soon as he announced himself. It was like, oh, I'm Patrick Gilmore. I'm the new head guy for WWE games.
Okay.
Just started tagging him in the My Career reboot, in the GM mode reboot.
Oh, great.
And he took notice. He messaged me and he said, look, can we have a chat? So I was like, yeah, that's pretty cool. So we had a Zoom call. We talked about like the different concepts that we'd gone through and like, what I thought and how we could change the game, make it better and things. And one of the things that I said to him, he was like, what are your thoughts on like, the 2K90? I was like, there's one thing I'll suggest. Don't take the servers down. For the love of God, do not end that game, because people will not take it very well.
No.
This community right now needs...
It's fractured.
2K19.
Yeah, and it needs that, definitely.
They needed the developer to step up and say, we made an issue, we've made a booby here, let's just keep the game that works and just pretend like 2K20 didn't exist.
Yeah.
And much to their positive thinking, and the way they've done things, and Patrick Gilmore as well, to get it signed off, they did it. They're keeping the 2K19 servers up. So it's fantastic. I know a lot of people have been saying it. I already said to him, you need to keep the servers up. It wasn't me. I didn't do this. It was just a community effort, and it was an amazing community that's kind of smashed this and really given it everything. And I'm just so proud of this community, because when we come together for something positive, like keeping 2K19 up, and we're not just all bitching, then
we can actually do good things.
Yeah, we can force positive change.
Yeah.
So when I spoke to him, and I've spoken to him, like I said, quite a few times since, it's been markedly positive, the direction the game's heading in, like markedly. So
great.
I see a lot of people saying, oh yeah, but what if it's totally broken? It's like, well, let's put it this way. They're not using the fork of the engine that they were working on for 2K20. That whole section of the game it's cut off at the stem. They have gone, nope, we're not working with anything that was made on that fork of the engine. Not happening. So it's really good to see that they've taken a whole fresh approach. And yeah, from what I'm hearing, you guys are going to be in for some really good surprises.
Oh, nice. Some teases there. I think you have a little bit of backstage knowledge there. That's good.
Yeah. Things that I will never tell. So just believe me when I say new things are coming. So
great, fabulous. Good. It is, yeah. Of course it is, yeah. And congratulations on that. That is amazing that your work is getting seen by the people that make the game. That's amazing. That's like, Vince McMahon calling us up and saying, "Hey, your reviews in this are really good." It's mad. It is. An amazing achievement. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
Let's go into Virtual Basement's wrestling game. Obviously, you've been I don't know if you've been working with them, but they've certainly been featured on your channel. So they've got a new wrestling game out, the Wrestling Code. How did that come about, and what interests you about this new game?
It's a really odd one because I heard that Virtual Basement would be doing a wrestling game, and I wasn't sure what it would be. You know, like you get a lot of people that are like, oh, okay, making a new wrestling game, but you know, we've got a few wrestling games that are out now. You've got the whole the 2D wrestling, retro wrestling.
Retromania, is it?
Retromania, yeah.
It rings a bell.
You know, you got Fire Pro, but we don't really have any 3D competitors. Obviously, you've got Ukes developing their own game, AEW doing whatever they're doing. You know, we don't know whether AEW is going to be 3D or not, or whether it's going to, you know, go the same route as Fire Pro, or
could be Street Fighter if Kenny Omega gets involved.
We don't even know. So it could be anything at this point. But we know that Ukes is a solid competitor, but Virtual Basement were coming at us with something brand new, and then all of a sudden you see a couple of models, and you're like, "Oh, this looks nice." Like we're going 3D here, and I think I can't remember who messaged who first, but I messaged. I think whatever we got speaking on Twitter, and we were talking, and he was like, "Yeah, so we're going to do this brand new game. It's going to be developed from the ground up on Unreal Engine." I was like, "Ooh, Unreal Engine, that's good. Okay, nice," because we all know how good models look on Unreal Engine. You know, and you know, if you've seen some things on there, you've seen like the hair from the screenshots, and it's like, well, the hair looks good. Let's just hope it has the right physics, unlike 2K20. You know, so and things just kind of progressed from there, really.
Okay. Cool. That's great, and I mean, it's great for your channel that you're sort of, because didn't you do an exclusive video recently in the last few weeks?
I did. No, it wasn't in the last few weeks. It was quite a few months ago. I did a definitive guide, which was an exclusive.
Yeah.
And that was just talking because I basically got a lot of information from them. I was like, well, you know, I said to them, do you want me to, like, you know, tell people about what this game's going to be, you know, because this would be fantastic for people to know about, to push, you know, what your aims are for this game. Not necessarily, you know, that all of it's going to make it in, which they assured me that it would, that all this stuff that they want may not be day one, but it will be in the game. Kind of like 2K20 with their Creator Championship.
Yeah. But that's the problem, because all wrestling gamers at the minute have just been burned. It's like, make sure we're not going to promise anything that we can't deliver.
Exactly. So I made the video, which was the definitive guide to, which we now know is the Wrestling Code.
Yes.
Which is why I changed the thumbnail recently, because I don't need to hide it anymore. And yeah, it kind of goes through pretty much everything, and it's coming across as like an arcade wrestling sim, a la SmackDown Here Comes the Pain, with sandboxy features of just go to town and essentially near enough hurt people until they're unconscious. So
perfect. Sounds like a good game.
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, it's great when you hear things like, and you can replace the normal ropes with barbed wire. So
yeah, nice, yeah. And the models look great, and it does look like it could be a competitor.
It looks like a serious competitor if they get everything together that they need to get together, which is good. You know, they've helped develop a few games. They're the only game that they developed fully themselves was their game, The Mean Greens.
The Army Men game, yeah.
Yeah, which is the Army Men game, which doesn't have tons of reviews out there, which is quite strange. You know what I mean? So
the art style is great. The levels look wonderful, yeah.
Yeah, they do. I was kind of blown away by the trailer. I was like, this looks like a really good game. I haven't played it yet myself.
No,
I'd
time
like to. But yeah, time, once again, you know. And then when I get my downtime, I want to play something like that's completely different, like Ghost of Tsushima. That is probably my go-to game at the moment.
Snap.
But yeah, unbelievable. So good.
It's nice. Or Fall Guys now, actually. I'm just like, 10 minutes, I can do a quick go.
No, I can't. No? I try to play it, but I just get too infuriated. I'm so chill. I'm so chill. But something about Fall Guys makes me rage so hard.
Dude, I want it on your channel. I want you to be sort of doing the whole hey.
Oh no. No, it wouldn't be any. There wouldn't be any happiness on the channel playing that game. It would just be cursing. There'd be demonetization labels all over the shop. It would be really bad. So yeah, I can't do Fall Guys. But
good.
yeah, so I'm hoping that they'll get it together, and Virtual Basement will finish the wrestling code. I don't know exactly when the release date is. They're aiming 2021.
Right.
But we'll see. They're going to take their time. They're not going to release it before it's ready, is what they keep saying.
You can't right now.
So,
you can't
no.
because again of fans' feelings towards it. Even though obviously 2K don't have a game, and ideally it'd be out to sort of have that. But
I mean, the thing is that it's only been started developed since earlier this year. So it's way off.
Really, even with the models looking that good, it's only
yeah. And they're a very small team, like a very small team. I think there's like maybe 8 people.
Wow,
I don't know. Yeah, they're very, very, very small team, very close knit, very small, very hard working team, and the models are just amazing. But the problem is that I don't know how many models they've released. I think it's like maybe 8, 9 models they've released.
Mm-hmm.
And if you think they've been working on the other parts as well, so they've been doing like the ring mats and things like that too. So there's been a lot of modeling doing.
Modeling doing.
Modeling doing. There's been a lot of modeling doing. It's getting late, can't you? There's been a lot of modeling being done. But we haven't seen any gameplay yet. I'm still waiting on that myself. And I think we'll be waiting a little while for it, because I think gameplay on wrestling games is probably the hardest thing to get right.
Yeah.
Especially with all the things that they want to do. So
yeah. Great. Well, we'll come towards the end of the interview, obviously, because it is getting late here. Battlegrounds. It'd be remiss of us not to talk a little bit about that, though, because that's coming out soon. What's your sort of early opinions on it? And do you plan on making content around it on your channel?
I am gonna make content around it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's going to be robust on my channel, mainly because my channel is mainly simulation. So you're obviously going to get a lot of stuff that's simulated on there. Obviously, that's why the Reboot series has done so well. But Battlegrounds, as far as I'm concerned, looks like it's fun, and definitely worth a play. But I don't know whether it's going to be a natural successor to All Stars, or if it's going to play on it slightly and then you may get bored. The thing is that I believe tonight, actually, IGN's just done gameplay for it. They've released actual people playing the game, right? Which is the first time we've seen it, and it releases like in a few weeks' time. So, which is, anytime they do this now since 2K20, it makes me worry. So,
and understandably, man, understandably,
it's not like, why is everything being left to the last minute again? So. Yeah, I don't get me wrong. I'm not always on board with the whole Stone Cold. Look at me, I've got ice powers, and I'm just kind of like, why? I'm all for the over the top gameplay. I don't mind playing something ridiculous if it's all ridiculous. So yeah, I'm quite excited to play it, to see what it's like, to have a go, and I think it'll be great with friends as like, a competitive, stupid, silly game, which is why I probably think that it's going to be good that it's come out around the time, as we've said, about Fall Guys, because it's an over-the-top, stupid, silly game. Yeah. And Battlegrounds is the same thing. And it's kind of a similar sort of art style, very colourful. And I'm just hoping that it kind of does really well.
Indeed. Absolutely.
I don't think it's going to be as long-lasting as everybody thinks.
No, I mean, but then saying that, obviously this is based on, was it NBA Playgrounds?
Same developers. Playgrounds 2.
And it looks
Saber Interactive.
Similar sort of art style and stuff like that to that. So, and that was successful enough to spawn a sequel,
It was. But then again, you are talking about the NBA fan base, which is not the WWE fan base,
which is dropping off.
You think the people that generally tend to buy the video games are the people like us, the sort of age range anywhere between 18 to 34 and 40 plus is not so much the 10-year-olds that may get it for Christmas or their birthday or something like that, or a special occasion. And people in our age range tend to like simulation games or things that they can pick up and play and then put down. I think when it comes to something like this, because it doesn't have super longevity as far as I'm concerned, as like, it doesn't have like a GM mode, it doesn't have anything like that. It has 4 careers. So you get to play as 4 different people and kind of, work their way up. There's a lot of people to unlock, and more DLC down the way, which you can earn through in-game currency, which you can earn inside, or you can buy it, depending on which one you want to do. There's a lot of stuff in there, like the creation suite, that could be really cool. It could be, like I said, if it's over the top and it's cartoony, it's great. But I just worry for the longevity of the game and how long it's going to last. And people going, oh, there's new characters out, and it's like, well, have I got bored with it yet? Of just constantly doing the same thing over and over again.
Yeah.
And this is what I worry about with games like this, where it's a season pass and you're having to earn things, because although for a lot of people they have a season pass and they think season passes are great, gives me something to work towards, give me something to earn, and it happens, because I remember how addicted I was with COD. And they have the whole ranking and prestige system. You could get 2 or 3, 4, 5 kills, and all of a sudden you've gone up 2 levels and you've earned a new gun. It's like, yes, a new gun. This is exactly
Keeps
what I
you
want.
playing.
And I think, and exactly. And I think the sort of gamification of earning these levels and making it addictive could be applied to this game. And if it is, then it will probably last. If it's not, and it's not done effectively, I don't see it lasting and being super fun all the time. And the damn servers need to be good as well, which is another story altogether.
We'll have to see what comes out. I think the roster reveal was quite interesting. It was nice to see people like Donk on there and Yokozuna and stuff that's been missing from the 2K series for a long time.
Yeah, I think that's because a few of them, like Doink bought the whole gimmick from WWE. So the guy who owns Doink, owns that WWE.
Oh, does he? Because it was Matt Bond's obviously dead, who originally played Doink, but there is a guy that went on afterwards and still does a Doink gimmick. So
yeah, so I think it's got nothing to do with WWE there, but also I think it was the same with Yokozuna. I think Yokozuna's got his own area, like it's got his own trademarks. It's the same with Gangrel. Gangrel owns all of his stuff too. So it's kind of like getting those people back into the game is pretty cool. And to see them in the game is like, oh man, that's good. Because then you think about it and you go, what does that mean for 2K22?
Yeah. So taking this information and applying it to next year.
Exactly. Yeah. And you got to think, if they can get the licenses for those people in this game, then what's stopping them from doing it for next year's game? So it's good that they're building on this, because they definitely needed something to fill the void. And the thing is, a lot of people don't realize this, but Battlegrounds was coming regardless of whether 2K21 was cancelled or not. And people thought, oh, well, this is what you're putting out instead. And it's like, no, it's not instead. It was additional, but now it's only singular. So there's not really much anybody can do about that. I'm hoping and I'm praying that it does really well, and that it keeps us going until next year, or at least mid next
year. Of the year. Yeah, absolutely.
As long as it's got some longevity and keeps the community grounded for a little bit longer until the news starts coming out for 2K22.
And ultimately, bringing out another 2K21, if it was going to be the same as last year, you would have ran away half of your audience for sure.
It would have been done. Like, the thing is that a lot of channels I've noticed they've taken a hit because there's no 2K21, and Battlegrounds is like they're putting all their eggs in one basket. I've noticed a lot of channels that were wrestling content creators have kind of deferred from just wrestling content now. They do a lot of other stuff too, and there's been a lot of channels that have suffered because of it, because there's no new game coming out, and 2K20 was just a bust. So it's kind of like adapt or die.
Which you have done, and that's credit to you with your sort of reboot series. You've taken something unique and turned it into a well-produced piece of art, if you like, on YouTube.
A piece of art. It's
piece
artful.
of art. It's a what was the model thing that we said earlier? Doing models is what it is. Model doing. Last question. What are your ambitions for the channel in the future, and do you still want to cover other games? Because I know that you've certainly struggled with that, and not necessarily struggled, but you're not a wrestling channel.
The right word.
Is it? Right. You're not a wrestling channel, but that seems to do really well on your channel. So at what point do you want to, how do you see that in the future?
I think I called it a day on it not being just a wrestling channel a while back. Right. So it is now just a wrestling channel. If I wanted to do other content, I could do it, but not a lot of people would watch it because it's primarily known for wrestling content. You won't be able to get it any other way now. That is the channel. As far as I'm concerned, it may as well be Viking-sized WWE gamer. Like you just call it that, because I'm not going to change the name because that would just be stupid. But it's my entire brand. I own all the social medias for it, so it'd be kind of stupid for me to do that.
Absolutely,
including TikTok. I can't believe I submitted to that.
Oh, we did that. I don't know why.
Well, I just set up an account. I didn't.
Oh, Dom posted a video. He did him dancing to "No Chance in Hell" by Vince McMahon. I was like, what?
You got to do something, didn't you?
I mean,
I've got a few ideas for TikTok, but I'm going to save that, and maybe just on a rainy day when I'm really maybe had a few too much to drink, that would probably be the point where I go, I'll do this. This seems like a good idea, but I'll keep that under wraps for now. But the really main aspirations for it is just build on what I've done so far for the reboots, because if I can keep getting the reboots out until 2K22 starts dropping news, and then the next series after that will be 2K22 versus Reboot, and see like what they've taken and what they haven't taken.
That's a really easy way to use scripts again, man.
I've got to go through the game and go, hey, what did they take from my content? What have you seen on here that they've gone, that's a good idea, I'll use that. And then it's kind of me going, hey, that is a great idea. I've actually influenced a game from the outside. Just put my name in the credits. Special thanks. Just put in game designer. Just put me in as a special guest game designer.
I'll just doing models. VikingSizeGamer.
doing models. Models doing VikingSizeGamer. No, it's one of those things, because I'd really love to get into designing a wrestling game, and I think that's kind of like the very, very end goal for me eventually, to like actually have creative control over the way a wrestling game is done, and being like, right, okay, we need to do this, and this is how this should be. I think that would be amazing. And I remember saying in one of my streams when I was doing the designs of reboots, I remember somebody saying, it's like, oh yeah, what do you want to do? Do you want to be a game designer? I was like, at this point, I was really tired. I'd had a beer. I was just like came up with something ridiculous and said, I would love to be the Hideo Kojima of wrestling games.
I mean, that's an ambition, dude.
That is an ambition. It's like, what are you? I'm a forward-thinking, progressive game designer for wrestling games.
Oh, watch out, guys. We're going to get a walking game with wrestlers in or something like that.
What do? I just walk all around the arena.
It's an Undertaker entrance, right?
It's just an Undertaker entrance simulator, but you start from his house and you have to
walk to work
all the way to the next arena. But you can only go the pace that he goes when he walks to the ring. That's it.
I mean, dude, yeah, that's certainly Hideo Kojima. Rock and roll, dude. I'm gonna stop wasting your time now because we're getting fun and silly. But you may want to do that in the future, but your videos are so well produced that I feel like you're stepping into that sort of dream, and good for you. And everyone that's watching this, like, if you haven't seen the Reboot series, go check it out. It's really engaging, and it's a lot of work that you've put in, and really worth watching.
Thank you. Yeah,
You're welcome.
It's been a trip so far, and there's still a lot more to go. So
Good. Well, I
a
look
lot more.
forward to seeing it all on the channel. If you haven't already subscribed to VikingSizeGamer, head over there and send him some love, and send some love on your social media. Is there anything you want to promote, dude?
I'll tell you what, if you're going to do it, just go to youtube.com/VikingSizeGamer. But if you want to catch me and, like, you know, even have the chance to have a chat, I do generally reply to everybody that talks to me. It's on Twitter. So it's twitter.com/VikingSizeGamer. I own all my socials. Just put VikingSizeGamer in. You'll see all of it in Google. So you do that in the Google. Yeah. So.
Well, congratulations, man. And I hope we can have a catch up in a year's time and see where your channel's gone from there, because I have no doubt you're going to evolve it again.
Oh, yeah, it'll just be WWE 2K23 reboots.
Dude, I'm waiting for that Undertaker walking simulator. Right. I'm signing us out. Until next time, Hull yeah, everyone. Hull yeah, VikingSizeGamer.
Oh, yeah.
Hull yeah.
This is Broken Matt Hardy. Thank you for watching the Gimme A Hull Yeah Wrestling Podcast.